with that, we have a really packed session today, so I'm actually going to get us started because I don't want you to miss out on anything because there's a lot to cover. So real quick, hi everyone, I'm Elon from the Getro team, and we're super excited today to host this panel with Jenny, Hillary, and Steph, three amazing VC leaders across portfolio, community, talent roles that bring really unique perspectives and really diligent process and thinking around how they scale their efforts and use AI automation, but also do it in a really human way. So this session today, I'm going to do some quick logistical items, housekeeping. I'm going to pass it off to the panelists and they'll have a conversation. If you have questions as we go, please add them in the chat throughout and we'll add those to a Q&A that we'll cover at the end. In terms of the session today, we're going to do quick intros from everybody. Then we're going to jump into the questions and the discussion that we've lined up. And after that, we'll have a demo from Laura, our customer success team here. And followed up from that, we'll have a Q&A. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it across the line of our amazing panelists to get started and introduce themselves. We'll go Jenny, Hillary, and then Steph.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jenny Goodman. I'm the head of community at Underscore VC. And I am located in the sweltering area of Boston. Brief about me, I've been at Underscore now for 6.5 years, and I lead our community of operators and experts and founders, making sure that we are connected to the best folks to help our portfolio companies grow and scale. And then us at Underscore meet the best founders, early stage founders for us to invest in. So my role is basically kind of all things people at Underscore. And I'm told to share how my network has influenced my career. And I think your network's really everything. I've learned that. I think I knew that in my career, but especially now connecting people for their careers, whether as mentor, advisor opportunities, or full-time hire. I think it's so many of the ways that the right way to get connected to the right roles that you want in your career, especially, Getro showcases roles that are open, but not every portfolio company or not every company actually is obvious about roles that they have, especially the key roles that they have listed. So you really need to know somebody in order to get those specific great roles. So excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, Jenny. Hillary?
Hi, everyone. I am Hillary Turnipseed. I'm the head of talent here at Kapor Capital. We're an Oakland-based early stage impact fund. I would say most of our portfolio is a mixture of ed tech, health tech, fintech, and climate. I've been in my role now for about 3 years. I am a recruiter by trade, but working with startups, you're kind of everything and everyone to everyone. But I love what I do, and a key part of my role is connecting great human beings, especially those that are overlooked, to incredible opportunities within our portfolio. So I would say my network has been a huge influence in my career. My network actually flagged this opportunity for me to join, so I'm incredibly grateful for that. But I think a big part of what makes me, I think, a good recruiter is I really try to be a door opener versus a gatekeeper. And we are very similar in terms of how we evaluate companies as well. We don't do warm intros. Everyone can opt in through our website. And so it's really about just making those connections and really creating these spaces to expand those immediate networks to really build what I like to refer to as consciously inclusive teams.
Awesome. We'll go Steph and then Laura.
Yeah, kia ora. Kia ora everyone, I'm Steph Benzman. I'm head of portfolio services for Icehouse Ventures. So we're a New Zealand-based venture firm. The whole purpose of our firm is we exist to be transformative investors in transformative companies led by exceptional Kiwi founders who invest across all stages, all industries. We just keep in the scope of Kiwis, whether they're in New Zealand or based across the world. And so part of being a transformative investor is making sure that our companies have all the support around them that they need to achieve their big missions. And so that's really my role, and how I look at it is, once we've invested in a company, what are we doing to help them grow? And so the big part of that is obviously connections. And so whether that be talent, future VCs, advisors, just all that support and making sure they have a great network around them to exceed, it really comes down to the people. And so, yeah, for myself, my network has been transformational for me in my career. In my adult career life, I've never actually applied for a job. All 4 jobs I have were because of my network. And so I really respect my network, and I do a lot to maintain it. And then my whole role is making sure other people have networks around them and helping them build those communities. So yeah, thanks for having us.
Fabulous. Thanks. And Laura?
Wow, me too. Hi, I'm Laura. I am a senior customer success manager here at Getro. So, helping with all things customer questions, strategy, all of that fun stuff. I've been here for about a year and a half. And my network has also been transformative. I have applied to roles, but I've also found out about a lot of roles thanks to my network and specific communities that I've been a part of. So, really believe in the power of network and community and helping us navigate our lives and our careers.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Laura. Okay, we're going to jump in with the first question. It's going to be a bit of a softer ball to get us started, and then we'll get more intense as we go and more in depth. But high level, what's one way that you've brought AI into your workflow in the past 6 months? So for this one, I think we'll go Hillary, then Jenny, and Steph, but feel free to make it conversational. Jump in if you have ideas to bounce off each other.
Yeah, so I'll be very candid. I've been one of those HR folks that has been a little hesitant with leaning into AI, especially just in the people world. I'm very much about those human connections, but I am all about working smarter, not harder. So I would say, I know supposed to say one, but it 2. So ChatGPT, I kind of live in it on a regular basis. So anything from writing job descriptions or just kind of getting me a good sort of template to get started, kind of creating good like sourcing pitches if I'm reaching out to more passive candidates, or helping me create sort of social posts to promote opportunities within our portfolio. That's just really helped me, again, like work really efficiently and a lot faster. And to give a quick plug to Getro, which is the other tool that I use on a daily basis. We are fortunate enough to have over 1,800 contacts right now, or candidates within our talent network. And so Getro's AI filter allows me to really sort through those profiles a little bit more efficiently. And so very grateful for that. What about you, Jenny?
Agreed. ChatGPT has become my best friend, I think, personally and professionally. Everything from like event ideas to descriptions of the types of events to planning my community strategy. I feel like it's probably my most used tool. Sometimes I feel like I'm cheating, but agreed, it makes me work more efficiently. And I definitely am not like copying, pasting exactly what it says, right? Of course, you're like having to utilize like your brain power, and knowing your firm and your people. But it definitely helps with those like first drafts. I also love Granola, if anyone else uses that for note taking. I take a lot of calls with folks figuring out how they can get involved in our community, whether that's from a job standpoint to just joining potentially as a mentor, advisor, or whatever it is. And having those notes for myself. And I also like we encourage our team to use it as well. So for them, and I'm able to see like every conversation they had, which is also really helpful when we're passing along introductions or figuring out who we should be inviting to things. It's just like it's been life-changing for having conversations. And then I'm starting to build out some custom ChatGPT tools as well internally, which is helping to make searching just from like the data points that we have, whether it be for people or portfolio companies, etc. Building some of those in-house tools. I think those are the main things for me. Steph.
Yeah, all tools that I use to ChatGPT, Getro, all of them. Fathom is my note taker that I use. But we actually just we're hosting, there's 2 sessions happening today, an 11-part series for broken down into roles within our portfolio companies where they can share the AI tech stacks that they're using. So Hillary, I can share some HR ones that have been used. And then we're going to turn that into a custom GPT so our community can search and understand what tools are being used for what purpose. And one thing I learned actually was at the VC platform conference was people have built custom GPTs for their onboarding experiences. So when founders on board, they can search like, how can Icehouse Ventures help me connect with talent and all of these things. And so we're just currently building that out too at the moment, which should hopefully save me a lot of time. And I would love, it's my dream to build, we've got all the data there. We just need to put it in a like custom GPT for our network search. So our biggest asset is our network. So how can we create that knowledge that those team members have where they really know and detail our network? How can we create that for the whole team so they can search and make the most valuable introductions to?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks,
Steph,
Steph.
keep me posted on the onboarding.
Yes, I will. Yeah, I've got this. I'm trying to remember who shared it at the VC platform conference. She did a great presentation on it, so we can find those notes too.
Awesome. Yeah, we can also find those and share them as well. I think one thing I'm curious about, this is just tacking on here, Steph, is like, and maybe others, if you want to jump in, throwing another question in. Do you see VC funds taking on the role of AI educator as we see this shift and thinking about talent? Like, Steph, I'm hearing that a little bit in what you're running in this series. Is that like a trend that you're feeling like you have ownership in training up your portfolio around AI?
I think so. I think what our role is as community managers, where you see the need within your portfolio, that's where you create the value and the response to it. And we were finding a lot of our portfolio companies were saying, oh, we're trying to figure out what AI tools to adopt. And what I found really interesting is I thought our portfolio companies would be the leaders in this, and some are for sure, but a lot of them don't have the time to step back and figure this out. So how can we kind of expedite that process for them? So it was really interesting to see that all our portfolio companies are at very different stages. Some are a little bit more hesitant. Others have just, it's the expectation, there's policies set in place that their staff should all be using it. And so it is very interesting to see that varying range. So it was like our job as someone with 350 portfolio companies to bring all that knowledge together and just consolidate it.
I think for us too at Underscore, we're figuring out, okay, who are the best portfolio who are the portfolio companies are almost like doing it the best, and the investors are the ones that are in those conversations and knowing that daily, and then bringing them kind of for a workshop with the other portfolio companies so they can learn from them directly. It definitely like ties into our community model as well. I'd also say like an interesting just like side note is we are currently in our 3rd fund. We are heavily investing at pre-seed and seed stage companies. Sorry, quick plug. But it's so interesting to see the companies that are being created now that are AI first versus the companies that were even formed like a year or 2 ago, having to catch up on what that looks like versus like initially just doing it. I'm sure everyone's seeing that as well, but it's an interesting learning.
Yeah, similar to Underscore, we do a lot of workshops. I have a counterpart who most people probably have seen speak. His name is Cliff Worley, and he handles a lot of our portfolio growth marketing. And so he's got a newsletter that's all about kind of the best AI tools, but a key part of both of our roles is to really help save our companies money. So he's often recommending the best sort of marketing and sales tools if that can, really help extend some runway for an organization, but really kind of help use AI tools instead of building out an entire marketing team at a pre-seed or seed stage where it doesn't necessarily make sense. So we do definitely try to guide our founders, but we're also very focused on sort of building that founder community too. And so through those workshops, we really try to have them sort of share those best practices, sort of learnings, and really kind of nurture those conversations. So it's a combination of both.
Awesome. Yeah, I think there are so many layers here. Our conversation is very much going to cover those layers. I feel like we just touched on a little bit of the portfolio using AI. Now to kind of lead that into the next topic, it's how have you thought about playbooks? And this is where we're really getting into the more practical side of this conversation. playbooks that help you add value to your portcos. So not necessarily them doing something themselves to make their own business more efficient, more on the side of how do you make yourself more efficient to add value to the portcos. Would love to hear examples, and we'll go Steph, Jenny, Hillary for this one. But again, jump in, cross chat.
Yeah, definitely. So everything we do at Icehouse Ventures in the portfolio space has really been at scale because we have to. There's no choice there. But how do you do things at scale while still creating those personal relationships with your founders? Because it honestly is the most important thing. Like the way I measure success for us is like, will our founders text us when they need something? And that just really shows that you're close enough to be that support for them. But how we've done that is everything we've designed has been at scale. So one thing is our leadership series. So I looked at our portfolio and my thoughts were if we could support the executives within our portfolio, you're in turn supporting the founder, you're in turn supporting the company and everyone in that company. So we designed the leadership series, which was grouping these operators into different groups based on their role and helping them build those networks that they can share with, because everything a lot of the time is always directed at founders. There's dinners, retreats, all that support for founders. And it can also be overwhelming for founders. They've got a lot on their plate. So how do you make sure that their team is supported? And that's something we did there. And then everything we do is kind of like, okay, what is the like core value you can offer your portfolio? And then how do you give a preview of that to your wider network so they can be like, oh, I would pick Icehouse Ventures because I know they do this for their portfolio. And so we have a lot of virtual or like exclusive events for our portfolio, and that's where we might put some exceptional speakers in there. A lot of global people come and speak to our community there. And then we'll have like wider community events where you'll have a group of exceptional speakers who are advisors to our portfolio companies, and then they tend to speak about the groups that we have for our portfolio. They share knowledge on different topics specific to a role. And I found those niche events work really well. They actually get quite a good uptake. And so that provides a little bit of a sneak peek into the value we're offering. It also offers value to our wider community and inspires them for deal flow and also talent. I can discover a lot of really exceptional people come to those events that might want to work for our portfolio companies. And yeah, it's just like a whole big cycle loop, which I've tried to approach for most of the things we design is how can you do everything with one series, you know?
That's awesome.
Jump to Jenny.
So I love a playbook. Nothing I love more. One thing I've been doing recently has also been on, I would say partial, I'll talk on the talent side first. But I do use Getro for that as well as an opportunity to, we get introduced to a lot of folks every month, either like personally or investors. We also have a Slack network and people are constantly sharing resumes there as well. And so I keep a running list of potential talent in Getro as like a list for each month. And then at the end of each month, I'll send that list out to our portfolio company founders and like their talent leaders and say like, hey, here's like new talent this month that we've been introduced to. Let me know if you want any introductions. And people love it. It's a great opportunity. It's super easy. It's a pretty light lift because I'm just constantly doing it. Every time I meet somebody, I just add them to the list. And then I'm also building lists for just general needs from our portfolio companies. Since we invest super early, a lot of our companies are also coming to us being like, hey, who do you know that we could be introduced to as a potential like customers or design partners? So then I'll also build lists in there and send it to them. It just like so much, it looks so much nicer than just like in an email sending like LinkedIn profiles. So I like being able to just send it that way. And then I'm able to keep those lists in one place. So I know looking back where those live, especially in some of our portfolio companies, if they have potential folks that could be customers for a bunch of the companies, it makes it then easier to then just like kind of send similar lists. But so I do it for talent, for advisors, for like one-off conversations, and then for potential customers as well. Hillary.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, probably like most people, I'm a team of one. So I really try to think of how I can scale myself. And so while a lot of my work is pretty hands-on and tactical, I do have a lot of resources or playbooks to really create more of that self-service model because we do have over 100 active companies in our portfolio. And I'm big on, like you, Jenny, I like everything in one place. So Getro, for a lot of it, has become my source of truth on kind of all things people. So, I find that the job board is just really crucial and really helping, the employer branding side and bringing more visibility to our really early kind of brand new companies. So that's been great for just like driving a good candidate pool to them while they're competing against those established brands. But the talent lists have been really great to create more of that self-service model. It's regularly updated. Our founders can have access to it at any time. And so it allows me to still offer that talent matching support without being like doing the individual matching for every single company. And then in terms of just general playbooks, we have put together a founder resource hub. We use Notion for that. We update it quite regularly, and that's what we really call our source of truth for just sort of all things platforms. So we've got templates, best practices, hiring playbooks, a lot of founder community building is in there. I actually have the talent list sort of built in there too. So that's really been a huge valuable resource to our founders to access at any time, but also for us to, me and Cliff, to be able to really provide support to the broader portfolio without needing to have those one-on-one conversations. And it covers sort of any piece that a founder would need. And there's a talent portion, a marketing portion, business ops. We've got, software deals, sort of all those things. And the fact that founders and their teams can access that at any time, that's really been a valuable resource for us.
Yeah, I love to hear it. I think having a hub with links out to different places like talent lists or docs or templates, super strategic, super like great way to make this passive so they can self-serve the support. But also like it's great to hear examples from Denny and Steph that really one-to-one for not only the founders, like I think Steph, you said, it's also for the different folks on the team and how do you support across the team. Really cool to hear all the different ways of using AI and playbooks to really help support the portcos. Anything else to add before we go on to the next piece? Oh, good. Okay, cool. So yeah, now we've touched on for yourself, we've touched on for the portco, thinking about the broader fund now, thinking about maybe like the partners, investment team, or other teams within the fund. How are you thinking about building playbooks, leveraging the knowledge, the data, the AI that maybe you're comfortable and using regularly? How are you creating maybe value for partners or other teams in the fund? For this, we'll go Denny, Hillary, and then Steph.
Sure. So we do a lot of events at Underscore, since our whole thing is community. So obviously community usually correlates to events. I would say I'm usually leading most of them, but my goal is to get our founders and other members, our investors and other folks to do so as well. Again, love a playbook. So I've created like a playbooks for different types of events that we have, kind of like a playbook in a box or event in a box. With the goal to make it very easy for our investors if they want to plan, a dinner for health tech founders or lunch for repeat founders. They're very much able to see like how I've done it, and the tool it includes the tools that we use, the process, the type of conversations, etc. So that's been successful. And then just like events in general, kind of repeating events that we are finding successful and the mechanisms to do that. I've been hosting like a biannual event for future founders. And that's not always easy to know, like who's a future founder. You don't typically put that on like your LinkedIn profile. But we think about the folks who we know, who we've had conversations with that have said, I'm interested in eventually starting a company. And then the kind of playbook is asking, okay, you're invited to this event. Who's one or two other friends that you should bring along? So then it expands our network to not just who do we know, but who do they know? And if it's something that we're excited about, their recommendations typically mean a lot to us. So that's been really exciting. And then just like the profile of future founder that we have internally for a team, being able to kind of scope that out and almost playing like a guessing game. And sometimes folks have been like, when I've emailed them or a LinkedIn message, then they're like, oh, I've never thought about being a founder, but like maybe. I'm like, did I just encourage somebody to think of a different career path? So that's been really fun to see. And I think the goal of it, of course, is to be beneficial to our investors so they could form relationships super early since we invest so early. And then when that person is, you know, getting more serious, that we have that relationship with them and they come to Underscore first for any investment opportunities.
Giving me also, just to jump in real quick, ideas of, could we have an AI filter that was like future founder in Getro, and you click a button and then, you know, we use data from who became founders. Anyways, cool product ideas for the future. Back to you.
Yes, please do that. That'd be great.
I love
Give
that.
other suggestions as well.
Let's see. On the Kapor Capital side, you know, like one thing I've noticed in general is that I think like every firm kind of does platform differently. And so when our partners are going out there, our investment team is going out there sourcing deals, I have noticed that at times they'll lean on the fact that our platform team is a bit more hands-on than most. You know, some firms are like, we'll just kind of cut you the check or we'll kind of make intros, but we do sort of sometimes come in more of that fractional capacity, whether it's helping you make hires or, you know, helping you get customers. You know, we really try to support our founders, especially when we have a lot of them that are first time founders. So I think like that's a big value add for when they're going out there and competing with deals. They can say, hey, this is how we have substantially helped our companies, help them save money, but also be able to build these incredible teams and, you know, sell these incredible products. We're also pretty big though on building out a founder to founder kind of community and sort of ecosystem. We probably don't do as many events as you, Jenny, but we do try to host, you know, founder dinners across the country. We get a group of founders together every year for a week, and we take them to Martha's Vineyard for more of that kind of networking, meeting other investors, just ecosystem building. And you know, we built out an advisor community as well, so we really just try to nurture that ecosystem for our founders, because you know, we're only one or two people on the team who can really kind of help them more strategically or more tangibly, I should say. But I think kind of our biggest sort of differentiator, our biggest kind of add value to the partners is really how hands-on we are versus others.
Fantastic. I'm love being on a panel with other platform leaders because I'm taking notes of ways to incorporate it into our work too. But for us, the way I look at it is portfolio services is how can we do things that make our partners look really good? Like I want when our partners are out there and they're getting asked a question by our portfolio, they can respond really quickly. So my approach to doing this is like, how do you create the like top of the funnel, make sure you're building these big communities that then we can whittle down into being like and identify the exact people we want. So there's different ways we do that, like whether it be for deal flow, for talent, for advisors. In regards to talent, one because that is a very common request from our portfolio companies, is we started a series called Careers of the Future, because in New Zealand, joining a startup, it didn't have the best rep. It was you're competing with the big corporates with like big HR budgets. So we were like, let's use our collective power to showcase how cool it is to work for a startup and connect our companies with talent. And so we do these events probably like 5-6 times a year. They typically have about 100 to 150 attendees, all people looking for jobs. And then our portfolio companies are on the panel speaking about why they love working for a startup. And then we take those RSVP lists, we generate them on Getro, and then we can share them with our portfolio companies to be like, hey, here's a list of great talent wanting to work for your company. And then we can encourage all those attendees to join our talent network or view our jobs board. And so that's helped build that pipeline for our partners and our whole team. So we can it just builds up that talent network. So when we are looking to add that value of finding someone, we have like a really big repository of great people in there. And then we also have First Cut, which is our community for young entrepreneurs. And so that's kind of we do have a fund that invests only in under 30-year-olds, but we kind of have creep that scope when it comes to the community of like, how are you supporting these up and coming entrepreneurs to make sure they've got uh, all the support around them, because a lot of the time they don't, and they need those networks to succeed. And so how do we create those? And so that has been a really great way to support the deal flow team and our partners discover really exceptional young talent, because many of our most successful entrepreneurs, the unicorn today was, I think he's only just hit 30. So it's very cool here.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you, Steph. Okay. For this next question, it's almost like rapid fire style. So I want you to think of, would love to hear from each of you, a micro automation or like a mini hack. So we talked about these big, broad playbooks or like bigger initiatives. What are small ways that you're finding that to use AI or automations to save you time in your workflow? So we'll go Hillary, Jenny, Steph for this one.
So I got to give another Getro shout out. One of the best features that has saved me so much time is, we're very big on, utilizing the talent network sign up on our job board. We do a lot of promotion around it. And so we've got a lot of volume. And so being able to utilize the auto list filter, so as they come in, they're automatically put into lists that match. Before that feature, I was going through each one, trying to create different categories. And so the fact that it just does it for me has been a godsend. So don't ever get rid of that, please.
Not sunsetting it.
I'd say in addition to Getro, Calendly for just setting up calls makes it super easy. Gatsby I use for my events. That's a new one. And it makes follow up for events, like for people that I need to follow up to invite, so much easier. I have like internal cheat sheets, so go to notes for common questions and questions that founders and partners typically ask, so I'm not like having to repeat the same thing over again, and just like kind of have that templatized. And then yeah, ChatGPT again to draft events, invites, recaps, and founder updates quickly.
Awesome.
Big fan of all of those. We're actually looking at using Gatsby at the moment, so I might need to chat to you about that, Jenny.
Yeah.
The Getro network feature I love, like when you can just search through everyone's LinkedIn connections and understand those and search those, is a big one. I'm also a huge fan of custom GPTs at the moment. Like we have one for event pages, event invites, all these little things. And so just they're all based on our previous event pages that we've done. And oh my gosh, it has saved me all the time in the world to just, I think I did like 4 pages in a few hours the other day, and I was like, this is a game changer for us. So just to keep that consistency of brand out there too.
It's super interesting to hear how there's like, while there are so many tools that are adding AI or adding features, a lot of us at the end of the day come back to ChatGPT to do a lot of things. And this kind of brings me to the next question of, ChatGPT does a lot of things. There's other tools, maybe Getro is one of them, that does a whole bunch of other things maybe ChatGPT can't do. But what are some things that you are still doing super manually today that you don't think can be automated or ChatGPT-ified or custom GPT? So what are some of those things? Would love to hear that next. And maybe start with you again, Steph. Sorry, you just spoke.
No, perfect. I really have this belief that I feel like we hopefully can use tech to solve pretty much everything. Like I would love that search of that network feature is just like beyond, because we have people in our team, I think I was saying before, that just know our community inside and out. Like they know their families, they know all of these details. And my goal is, how can we make sure the team have that background on each person, because that's how we create like really strong relationships. So I'd love tech to be able to do that. I think that final review is always going to be there. But I also just think that's where our events come into play. Like there is nothing better than just getting in a room with really exceptional people. And so I know that's not quite the same, but I just think it's really important that you use these tech things to create really strong guest lists and all of that stuff behind them, but that just bringing people in the room together is, I think, we're always going to have the final review by the people in our community, in our team. And there's just nothing better than hanging out with our founders. Our biggest event of the year is our founder retreat, and our founders will fly across the world to make sure they're there for it, because there's nothing better than just being in a room with exceptional people going through the same journey. So I think always putting the effort into our events will be there, but how can we use tech to make sure those events are even better and more curated and the best possible people in the room?
I think at this time of AI, community and relationships are going to be even more important. It's so easy to get bogged down, I think, in building on our own, that you're going to need to actually have and want real relationships with people. So I don't think AI is ever going to be able to really thoughtfully curate and connect the right people. I think there may be suggestions of doing so, but like getting an invite via AI or connection is very different than knowing that it's like a personal invite from somebody. So that's whether it's like pairing founders with mentors or introducing sponsors to portfolio companies or handpicking attendees for a peer group or event. I think human judgment and personal touch cannot and should not be like ever fully automated. I think it's what makes community feel intentional and high value, and instead of being just transactional. So I think people are going to even want relationships and crave that in a community even more in this day and age. I could write like a whole thesis blog post on that. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I want to read the book.
From a recruiting lens, there's a lot of AI talent matching tools, Getro included. But I think because of, my philosophy around talent in general, I'm always looking for kind of those softer, more transferable skills, more of that kind of underestimated talent that I do find that even when leveraging an AI matching tool, it's still not 100%. So I imagine I'm always going to look at profiles. I'm always going to look at resumes because I don't want anyone to be overlooked. And so as much as I like to work smarter, not harder, I do think that that's where maybe bias can be introduced a little bit. And so I think I'll always have a manual component to that, just sort of given my philosophies around talent in general.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you all covered it incredibly well, how in the age of AI, we're seeing so much noise in so many places, and what breaks through is that person, the really high value, non-transactional, very human relationship. So awesome here. Any last thoughts? We're going to wrap up the discussion portion of this before I hand it off to Laura. Any like last thoughts, comments, Jenny, Hillary, Steph? All good.
Covered a lot.
We downloaded your brains a little bit and absorbed so much. Thank you all. Now we're gonna go over to Laura. Laura, again, you met earlier. Laura's gonna share a quick demo of some of these playbooks that maybe were mentioned even, and how to operationalize them using Getro. And then we're gonna come back for a Q&A, so the panelists will stick around and answer any questions that the team has. There's already a few that are in the chat that we've collected, so we'll cover those after Laura's demo in case more questions come up during the demo. So with that, without further ado, off to Laura.
Great. Thanks so much, Elon. And yeah, thanks everyone. Wow. So many insights, and love hearing all of the enthusiasm and how Getro has been helpful for you. So I'm going to go ahead and share a couple of different workflows that you can use in order to find talent. I'll also go ahead and share some new features like access to emails, which is pretty exciting. And then finally, I'll dig into a new feature as well, which is a Zapier integration. So ways to automate data in and out of the platform. So we're all about automation these days. So I'll go ahead and I'll share my screen. Great. So I am in a Getro account, which hopefully you're very well familiar with. And really one of the first workflows that actually, this is one that Hillary had mentioned, is your talent network. So one of the great things about Getro is that it provides visibility to your team for people that are interested in working for one of your portcos to go ahead and sign up. And then you have access to those people and you can easily share them with your founders. So I'm going to walk you through how to do exactly that. So On your Getro job board, if you have the talent network feature enabled, what this is going to do is it's going to allow people to go ahead and fill out a quick survey, sign up, share their information with you so that you have it. You know who's interested, they can be on your radar. From there, once people have signed up, those contacts will live here in Getro under the Contacts tab. One of the things you can do, and one of the things that Hillary mentioned that she loves, is that you can actually you can filter specifically for those people that have signed up via your talent network. You can choose only signups. And then from there, you can go ahead and you can create a list. One of the things that's really neat about this is that these lists are auto-updating. So when new people sign up, they will automatically be added to that list. I've gone ahead and I've pre-created this list. Let's find it here. So these are going to be those talent network signups. But then from there, what you can do is you can actually share this list and it can live in a founder hub, or it's something that you can share directly to your founders. You can share it in an email. It's a lot cleaner than specifically sharing a bunch of LinkedIn links. Well, I should have pre-opened this one. I pre-opened the rest of them. Here we go. Great. So you can go ahead and you can share this. Your founders can go ahead, they can filter through, see who's potentially interested. They can go ahead and click to get more detailed information about any individual person, all fully enriched through LinkedIn. And then one thing that's really cool is maybe you're not clicking this link all the time. That's okay. If you want to know who's joining the talent network, you can also subscribe via email or Slack. And your founders can do the same. So you can be consistently notified of who is joining your network as part of the talent network that they're interested in working for one of your portcos. So that's just one of many different workflows that you can do in Getro. Another one that I really enjoy is, let's say your founder is looking for a specific role, whether it's marketing, whether it's software engineering, etc. What you can do is you can search your collective network. So in addition to those talent network signups, you or anyone else on your team can connect your LinkedIn so that we can bring in all of those first connections. And this gives you one place to go ahead and search all of those contacts in one search as opposed to multiple searches. So from there, you can use these filters to go ahead and generate a list based on whatever you're interested in. You could use job title. One thing that we have that's neat is company funding stage, if you want to make sure that someone has that early stage experience. And from there, you can go ahead and you can generate a list. So this is one that I've created, which is US-based senior marketers with early stage experience. So this is a list. I'll go ahead and I'll show you the filters that I used, but I filtered through all of the contacts in this Getro instance and created this list that's shareable that your founders can review. They can go ahead and take a look at anyone that's on this list. They can also subscribe to these lists and they can reach out to you directly for intros. Shortly, they'll be able to request intros right on this page, which is something that's kind of neat. Now, how did I create that list? I filtered, let's see. Showing you the inner workings. I went ahead and I used a variety of different filters from the contacts page to generate this list. This is also an auto-updating list. So that means that anytime you connect with someone new on LinkedIn or someone joins your talent network and they meet these criteria, they'll also be auto-added to this list. So you can have a consistent automated flow that doesn't require any sort of manual work. You can kind of set up the lists of the most frequent kinds of roles that you're typically asked for and kind of set it and forget it and leave those list links available for anyone to access and make those intro requests. Cool. Now, another flow that we frequently see is, well, hey, what if I want to help with a very specific role? How can Getro speed things up so that I don't have to source people individually? Well, we also have AI matching. So if you go to create list and a contacts list, you'll be able to see AI matches for open roles. Because we host your job board, we know what roles your portcos are hiring from. And because we have your contacts, we can go ahead and match potential contacts to any open role that you have available. You can also enter details of a private role as well. So one of the things that you can do is if you go ahead and you create that list, I had gone ahead and created this one. we'll showcase specific people that are potentially relevant that meet based on certain criteria that you can then go ahead and add. So if I go over here to AI matches, I've already added a few, and it notes why our technology considered them a potential fit for the role. So you can review, you can add, you can remove, and it's an extra step to help you make sure that you can get great candidates to your founders even more quickly. And just like with all Getro lists, you can easily share these lists as well. Great. Now, one final workflow that is pretty neat and it's relatively new is, let's say you want to help your portcos maybe with some follow-on investment. So now you can go ahead and you can create a company list to see, hey, who do we know at XYZ funds? I added you three. How did I go ahead and do it? I created a company list. And then I added the companies that I wanted to see who at our firm or who at our company knows anyone from these three places. From there, what Getro will do is it will pull who do we know in your Getro instance that is at any of those three organizations. So we can see, you can go ahead and see their role. We can see who they're connected to. Looks like I still need to connect with Steph and Jenny. I'll do that after this. And then from there, you can also filter down if you're looking for specific role types. If you want to ask maybe an external advisor if they know someone at any of these three organizations, you can also use the Ask for Intros button. And what this will do is this will allow a third party, let's say an advisor or an LP, to check against this list and match against their contacts to see who they can potentially offer an intro to. So those are three different flows that hopefully can help automate some of the processes around really searching your network really deeply and then sharing out those lists in an easy way. And one thing I meant to share is that we now have access to emails. So if you take a look on contacts, that's one thing that we weren't previously pulling, but we are now pulling. So you'll see the little see emails button here. So that is something that ideally can help as you're doing outreach and you're making intros on behalf of your team and your portcos. Finally, let's say you have your talent network and you want it to live in your source of truth, or you want it to automatically generate emails, or you want to bring it into an Airtable for additional analysis. That's something that you can now do thanks to Zapier. So here's just an example of a Zap that's been built, but really with Zapier, the sky's the limit. But we can pull jobs. So seeing kind of what jobs are available across your portfolio and turning that into an email. We can also pull contacts. So a contact that signs up to your talent network, you want it to go live in your HubSpot or your Airtable or a specific Google Sheet. You can now do all of that with Getro and Zapier. So if you have Zaps that you want to build, you're welcome to schedule a call with our team, and we're more than happy to support you to get those built. And if you want to brainstorm any sort of workflow that's going to be relevant to your team, you're always more than welcome to reach out to us. We're happy to hop on a strategy call to figure out what are some of the best workflows to really help you automate a lot of these processes right in Getro. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura. I'm just going to drop our little demo link in the chat in case anyone wants to have a chat with our team about this Zapier. We're really excited about this piece. So hope it's getting some ideas going. We had a couple questions come in. I'm going to pass them to the panel now. Feel free to kind of raise your hand, panelists, to answer. The first question came from Tal. The question was, how do you provide value for companies in advanced stages of A or A+? So I guess that's like Series A, Series A+. Think about the unique needs of those growth stage companies.
I'll kind of kick things off. Because we have over 100 active companies in our portfolio, what we really try to do when we have these founder dinners or host these ecosystem events, we really try to connect our more later stage founders with our earlier stage founders so they can really sort of share best practices around scaling and team building. From a platform team perspective, we do really specialize in that pre-seed through Series A stage. And so that's where we really lean on our advisors and our founder network to really help beyond those journeys. But from an investment team standpoint, I mean, I think that's where they lean on their growth stage investors at that point. But we are fortunate enough to have such a robust portfolio from pre-seed through IPO. And so when we do continue, when we nurture those relationships with our later stage founders, regardless, that's where we can really tap into their expertise and really create that founder community for our earlier stage ones as well. So that's how we do it.
We're similar, I would say. Yeah, I would say I try to spend majority of my time with like our current portfolio pre-seed and seed stage companies. But if there are key roles that our portfolio companies in our later stage have, I'm very upfront with our portfolio companies. I'm like, Hillary, I'm not a recruiter. I'm not going to be your recruiter. But I will figure out who do we know in our community or who could someone else know that can help you with your key roles. And that doesn't change just because, you know, a company has, I would say, graduated into their Series A and beyond. Um, we also have a lot of like, we have our office space where we have our portfolio companies sometimes be able to utilize for meetings and events. And we still like to bring our portfolio companies no matter the stage together for our workshops, for dinners, etc. And then our investors sometimes sit on board, so they're still working closely with their portfolio companies even as they continue to grow and scale. So I would say I am, and our team is still very close with a lot of our later stage portfolio companies.
Yeah, I think it's our specialty is pre-seed and seed, but now that our portfolio is maturing, we have a growth fund, and so we are wanting to stay close and support those companies as they get bigger. And what I've found is that the further down the track you're getting, it's like, how can you provide on-demand support for these founders whenever they need it? How can you deliver on the asks when they come through? And it's usually bringing our network in from that stage beyond them. So curating our founder retreat, which might be the one event that our largest scale founders attend every year. How can we make sure we're bringing in experts to attend that they can learn from, and that makes them get a lot of value out of the event too? And then how are we making sure, like usually our team, like our partners might be on the board of these companies as they progress. And so how are they across their needs and making sure we can deliver on those and connecting them to the right advisors? So that's where it's really important, I think, for New Zealand, for us to be building our global network and to understand who's overseas. We bring in a lot of, because usually if our founders are the biggest companies in New Zealand, then there's no one and they are, so there's no one for them to learn from here. So how are we making sure we're bringing that network into them globally? So we'll bring in founders for speaker sessions, etc., that are further down the track, or exceptional Kiwis that have built things overseas and can come back and share their learnings too.
Awesome. Thank you all. Great answers, and helping think through the stage after where your founders are now is a really big one, it sounds like, for folks. The last question that came in was, and I think the last question we'll have time for today, is thinking about, this came from Kate. She was asking, for folks who have been doing founder talent advisor sourcing for small groups and gatherings, do you use Clay? What other tools do you use to find people to bring into the room? So obviously there's Getro, that's your current network and your fund's current network. How do you go beyond that to the broader world and find the right people and connect with them?
Maybe I can kick off since I'm off mute, but I know Layla and our team is really good. Well, Layla is my team, it's just me and her, is really good at using LinkedIn Recruiter. And so she does a lot of search on that. And then we'll bring those lists into Getro to share with our portfolio companies. It's only Tuesday morning here, and we've already shared, I think, 3 lists this week. So it's very common for us to be sharing curated Getro lists. But I think LinkedIn Recruiter is that one that's really filling that. And then again, our events that are trying to broaden the funnel and bring in a lot of people, all of those names typically go into Getro, so then we can refine them and create more curated guest lists from there. I'd say it's probably a little bit easier in New Zealand. Like we invest in probably about, I think it's 50% of the companies that receive venture funding in our country every year. So it's a bit easier to be across our network. When it starts getting harder is when we're looking overseas. So it really is tapping into the connections of our networks over there.
Yeah,
Plus one to LinkedIn Recruiter. That's all I have to say.
say second. I think I have LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I don't really know the huge difference. But yeah, I use that for really fine tuning, especially we're having like a founding engineer coffee this later this week. So like using just those keywords, like LinkedIn is pretty good at. I think I use a bunch of things. I use Getro. I use like you kind of have to put them all together to really, in my opinion, get like the full picture for sometimes. But yeah.
Interesting to hear more LinkedIn Recruiter than Clay. I'm curious because Clay was brought up specifically. I know our team uses Clay often to find people and connect with people. What, like, is there a reason your teams use LinkedIn Recruiter? You're already maybe using it and had a license. Is that why?
Yeah. For me as a recruiter, I don't know how I've been using LinkedIn for a long time, but I think when we're especially for kind of those tough to fill roles, we actually do have a portfolio company right now that is hosting an engineering sort of recruiting event. And so we do try to use the power of social media for that too, and just sort of go beyond that from a promotion standpoint. But for that kind of targeted outreach, I would say LinkedIn Recruiter has just always been kind of my go-to. I'm sure there are others that are great. I'm a little bit of a creature of habit, and I will definitely be looking into Clay, but that's why. And Jenny, you probably wanted to say something too, I saw.
Literally same exact thing. It's more just like it's been grandfathered in. We've just been using it for so long. We're checking out Clay as well, but then it's like, do you need both tools? VCs don't have huge budgets typically, so figuring it out.
Interesting to hear for sure. I think on the Clay side, we should send this to Clay after. Maybe it'll help them.
Yeah.
But I think there's a sense of how do you like a lot of folks who it sounds like Hillary especially like you're coming from a recruiting background, right? Like you're used to using certain tools, and I think that's something that we wear the hat of is like thinking about where our VC partners, customers, friends come from. How do we make sure our tool is really easy to use and do that? And one of the criticisms of Clay can be how it is a little more technical, but it'll be interesting to see where that goes in the future. And hopefully Getro can solve more and more of those problems for everyone on the call.
Yeah, and just a quick plug, and like Kathleen can attest to this, and Laura probably too, but because I have that sort of recruiter brain, a lot of my product feedback on Getro has really been to try to make it as much of an ATS as possible for myself without buying an ATS. And so it's definitely that kind of recruiter brain and sort of HR creature of habit that I think is driving a lot of that and a lot of hesitation to really use new tools, but I'm working on it.
Well, first of all, I want to say thanks to all of you, Steph, Jenny, Hillary, for being our panelists. This was awesome. Really insightful conversation. Thank you to everyone who was on the call and attended the whole time. Really appreciate you being here. We're going to send a follow-up with the recording and more info, how you can learn more. Thank you all for being here today. And if you have any more questions, feel free to head over to getro.com or you can email me directly. I've been emailing you for the past week. So thanks again, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great one.